The movie opened in a blast of white light. From the first second, death was already on the screen. Then the film moved into the emergency room. Nurse Anna was asked to check on a strange patient. At first, the injury looked minor. Just a bite on the hand. But the patient had been sent in for a head CT. Anna's shift had already ended. She handed the file to the front desk and left the rest for someone else to check. Behind her, patients kept being wheeled in. Ambulances kept pulling up outside the hospital. Every warning sign was there. But to Anna, it still looked like another chaotic night shift. Anna did not stay. She only wanted to go home and spend the night with her husband, Luis. She drove back to her quiet neighborhood. The little girl next door happily showed Anna that she had learned how to skate backward. The two of them even agreed to skate together the next day, over the weekend. For the moment, Anna left the unease from the hospital behind. The streets looked the same. The houses looked the same. The neighbors looked the same. That peace lasted only one night. While Anna and Luis were asleep in each other's arms, a creak came from inside the house. Luis opened his eyes. The little girl from next door was standing in the doorway. Something was wrong with her. Luis told Anna to call an ambulance. Before Anna could react, the girl lunged at him and bit into his neck. Anna woke up instantly. She pulled the girl away and pushed her out. But Luis's carotid artery had already been torn open. Blood poured out fast. The girl screamed and charged back in. Anna blocked her and turned back to Luis. She hurried to call an ambulance. But within moments, Luis collapsed from blood loss. Then he stood up again. Only this time, he was no longer Luis. Anna looked at him and called his name. Anna backed into the bathroom and moved toward the window. But she stopped at the door and listened. Then Luis smashed his head through the wooden door and tried to crawl in. Anna had no time left. She opened the window, climbed out, and ran straight toward the car in the driveway. She saw a neighbor holding a gun and tried to ask him for help. But the neighbor no longer had his usual politeness. He only told her to back away while staying on guard. Smoke filled the street. Zombies sprinted down the road. The entire neighborhood had lost control. Then Luis's roar came from behind her again. Anna had no time to react. She could only drive away for her life. These zombies were extremely aggressive. They did not just pounce and bite. They chased cars like they were running a 100-meter sprint. The radio reported a statewide disaster. Residents were told to evacuate. Those who could not leave were told to lock their doors and hide. Car crashes, explosions, and buses surrounded by zombie hordes hit Anna's view one after another. Just as she was about to break down, a man suddenly pulled open the car door and tried to steal the car. The car veered off the road and crashed into a tree. Anna passed out. News footage kept flashing by. The host kept asking whether this was a virus. Some people worried that it would keep spreading. But no one could clearly say whether the attackers were alive or dead. The disaster had come too suddenly. Humans had not even figured out what they were facing. After the opening credits, Anna woke up from unconsciousness. She had just crawled out of the car when a shotgun was pressed against her head. The man holding the gun was a police officer named Ken. He did not lower the gun right away. First, he made Anna speak. After he confirmed she could still speak normally, Ken finally put away the shotgun. When Anna saw that he was a police officer, she finally felt a little safer. Danger was everywhere outside now. She could only follow Ken. Ken looked back and saw that she was covered in blood and had no shoes on. He did not ask too many questions. He simply allowed her to follow. The two of them came under a bridge and met 3 more survivors. At first, the 3 survivors were on guard. They even fired at Anna and Ken. Among them, Michael was the calmest. Andre was with his pregnant wife, Luda. Ken wanted to go to Fort Pastor, the shelter set up by the government. But Michael told him the road ahead was full of zombies. Michael's group had originally had 8 people. They had just tried that road and failed to get through. For now, everyone could only move together. They turned toward a large mall with more supplies and used it as shelter. At that moment, a wandering zombie spotted the living people. It ignored the handgun and charged straight at them. The group rushed into the mall. For the moment, there were no zombies around them. But the mall was too large. There were too many exits. No one could be sure it was really safe inside. Michael judged that they had to clear the mall first. Then they had to lock down every exit. Michael and Andre split up to check. Andre found zombies outside one exit. Michael also ran into a zombie eating a body inside the sporting goods store. When it heard movement, it immediately lunged at him. As soon as the fighting sounds began, Ken and the others were attacked from behind. Luda was bitten by a zombie. Ken was too close to shoot. He could only smash it away with the butt of his gun. The zombie pushed Ken into the water. Anna saw the shotgun by her feet. She picked it up at once. At the right moment, she pulled the trigger. The wounded zombie fell into the water and struggled, unable to get back up. On the other side, Michael was pinned to the ground. He grabbed a broken stick and drove it into the zombie's jaw. Only then did he break free. The first floor of the mall was not safe. After the group regrouped, they planned to take the elevator upstairs as quickly as possible. But when the elevator doors opened, 3 men stood in front of them with guns raised. They were mall security guards. CJ was their leader. The other 2 were Bart and the new guy, Terry. CJ did not trust them for a second. Outside, the world had already collapsed. Inside, he was not letting armed strangers take over the mall. Michael said they had nowhere else to go. Andre would not leave with pregnant Luda. Ken would not lower his gun. For a moment, every gun stayed raised. Then Anna stepped in. She asked CJ to let them stay. CJ looked at Anna, still covered in blood. After a tense pause, he gave in. But not for free. If they wanted shelter, everyone had to hand over their weapons first. Anna handed over the gun. Andre felt this was the same as handing his life to CJ. In front of the TV display area, everyone finally saw what was happening outside. The whole country was falling apart. The news footage was filled with fire, bodies, and people running for their lives. The report also said that the only way to completely stop the undead was to attack the head, then burn the body. A weakness had appeared. But the feeling of safety did not return. CJ still controlled the mall. If Luda wanted to use the restroom or Anna wanted to get a medical kit, they had to get his approval first. Someone also had to go with them. Inside the restroom, Luda quietly showed Andre the bite wound. Anna found a medical kit and a pair of shoes nearby. But she did not even get a chance to stop and catch her breath. The TV was still advising survivors to head to Fort Pastor. If they could not get there, the military would send rescue teams to search for survivors. But for the people who had just escaped into the mall, those words no longer sounded like a promise. They were covered in wounds. They had almost failed to get inside the mall at all. Ken had a good friend at Fort Pastor. So he had to get there. Michael found CJ and suggested that they seal off the mall as soon as possible. Every weak spot had to be reinforced. To avoid embarrassing CJ, Michael phrased the suggestion carefully. Then Michael suggested putting a rescue signal on the roof. Rescue helicopters were still patrolling the sky. They had to let people outside know there were survivors here. This time, CJ did not keep objecting. He quickly agreed to Michael's suggestion and arranged for everyone to start working. Several security guards went downstairs to clear out zombies. The zombie still twitching in the pool was one of their former co-workers. He had ignored CJ's advice and gone downstairs on his own. After he was bitten, he became a zombie. The group also used the chance to test the method mentioned on the news. Attacking the head really worked. The zombie in the sporting goods store was not spared either. The group found paint inside the mall. They wrote SOS signs on the roof, the walls, and the outside surfaces of the building. Down below, the zombie horde kept growing. Suddenly, gunshots came from far away. Everyone followed the sound. Across the road, another survivor was standing on the roof of a gun store. He was shooting the zombies below. The man spotted them too. He used a sign to tell them his name was Andy. He was alone on the roof. Right after that, Andy pointed toward the sky. A helicopter was flying overhead. Everyone immediately waved at the helicopter and called for help. But the helicopter did not stop. It passed over the mall and flew straight away. The hope lasted only seconds. After the helicopter left, everyone returned to the mall in disappointment. CJ immediately locked Michael and the others inside a furniture store on the first floor. They were all survivors. But inside the mall, they had become people under guard first. Michael knew that if they kept staying like this, CJ would take away all their control. Andre did not want to take the risk. He still believed the helicopter would come back. He also did not want pregnant Luda dragged into a conflict. The two argued. Andre questioned Michael. What gave him the right to keep making decisions? Had he been a military officer? Michael only gave one answer. He had sold TVs at Best Buy. The answer was absurd. But now, no one had a standard answer anyway. Ken did not care what Michael had done before. Right now, he only wanted to confirm whether his friend at Fort Pastor was still alive. On the other side, the security guards watched TV. The experts' explanations about the zombies did not really help. The next morning, the mall still had power. But CJ discovered that the TV programs from the day before had all gone off the air. When CJ and Bart sent Terry downstairs, Anna stopped Terry. She told him that the toilet in the furniture store did not work at all. Terry hesitated. But in the end, he still opened the door for them. In the restroom, Andre mentioned that this disaster might be Judgment Day. Ken immediately mocked him and said he was only afraid to die. Andre argued that he was not afraid of dying. He had survived until then only so his child could be born. He wanted to give the child a life he had never had. At the same time, Terry had just reached the security room. Then he saw a truck racing toward the mall. It was out of control. Everyone rushed to the roof. There were living people inside the truck. But opening the door meant opening the mall. CJ refused. No one knew if they had been bitten. No one knew what would rush in with them. Terry could not accept that. Michael and Ken refused to back down too. CJ raised his gun. He said he could kill anyone if that was what it took to survive. But while CJ and Bart were distracted, Michael and Ken moved first. They took the guards' guns. Now CJ was the one without control. Terry also stood with the others. CJ called him a traitor. After that, CJ was locked inside the holding cell in the security room. The group tried to guide the truck toward the mall's back entrance. But the truck did not stop. It reversed straight into the back door. Michael and Andre rushed over to check. Only then did they realize Norma had crashed the truck into the entrance so the people in the cargo area could climb in from the roof of the truck. Several more survivors made it into the mall. With Norma were Steve, Frank, Frank's daughter Nicole, Tucker, and a seriously injured woman. The injured woman was immediately sent to be looked after. The survivors were saved. But more survivors also meant more trouble inside the mall. The new survivors had just withdrawn from a church in the city center. They shattered everyone's fantasy at once. Rescue would not arrive that quickly. The so-called safe zones were not as reliable as they had imagined. Norma had only received a distress signal and picked up the survivors from the church along the way. Ken still wanted to go to Fort Pastor to find his friend. Steve told him that the place had completely fallen. Ken did not argue anymore. He could only go to the roof and write the news to Andy across the street. Andy sarcastically asked him if there was any worse news. Only then did Ken briefly smile. Anna was taking care of the wounded. The seriously injured woman was swollen and unconscious. But she did not have a fever. Her condition did not look like a normal infection. Anna had just finished bandaging someone else. Then the woman suddenly died. Anna walked over to check her. She covered the body with a black cloth. But before anyone could even process it, the body sat up under the cloth. Anna reacted fast and knocked her down. That was when the group understood the bite. Frank said the woman had still been walking 5 hours earlier. So a bite did not turn people right away. First, they died. Then they got back up. And as soon as Frank said it, Nicole told everyone the truth. Frank had been bitten too. The room went from theory to crisis in one sentence. Andre's face changed. Luda had been bitten too. But in the hall, everyone had already started discussing how to deal with people who had been bitten. Andre did not reveal Luda's wound. He could only turn and leave. In the hall, everyone argued about what to do with Frank. Anna suggested isolating him first. Michael also believed they could not take the risk. Some worried he would threaten everyone after he became a zombie. Others could not bear to do it in front of Nicole. Tucker was suspected of being injured and quickly explained in fear that he had not been bitten. On the other side, Andre went to the baby store and asked Luda about her wound. Luda said her arm hurt badly. But the wound seemed to have started healing. She also worried that she could not give birth here. Just then, the baby moved. The two began thinking about names for the child. In the end, Michael chose to compromise. They would lock Frank up first. Then they would deal with him after he turned. Frank did not resist. He only said goodbye to his daughter for the last time. After Nicole left, Ken walked into the isolation area. He closed the gate and waited for Frank to die. Anna had just thanked Michael for not shooting immediately. Then a gunshot came from the isolation area. After Frank's incident, the mall briefly quieted down. Some people ate. Some changed clothes. Ken and Andy communicated across the street and even played chess. Andy also used his shooting to prove that he could hit almost every shot. CJ flipped through a book in his cell too. The first line in the book was trust. But that peace could not last long. Luda was about to give birth. Andre hid her in the maternity and baby store and refused to let anyone come near. At night, everyone ate and talked. Then the mall suddenly lost power. Candles became the only light left. The order that had just stabilized was broken again by darkness. In the baby store, Luda had already been tied to the bed. She was starting to turn. And the baby was still coming. Meanwhile, Michael released CJ and Bart. The group needed CJ and Bart to help check the generator in the underground garage. Halfway there, CJ stopped. He would not take another step unless they gave him a gun. Michael refused. So CJ gave him one word. Trust. The same word he had just read in the book. The group entered the underground garage with flashlights and fire axes. It was completely dark inside. There were still bloodstains on the wall. A dark shape suddenly flashed past. Everyone immediately tensed up. After they saw it clearly, they discovered it was only a small dog. But just as they relaxed, the real danger dropped from above. A legless zombie suddenly attacked them. The gunshots drew in groups of zombies. The group turned and ran. The injured Bart was surrounded by the zombie horde and never escaped. Michael, Ken, and CJ retreated into a fenced-off gas station to defend themselves. At the critical moment, Michael threw the gun to CJ. When the ammunition was almost gone, Michael sprayed gasoline at the zombies. CJ immediately lit it. The fire finally burned back the horde. On the other side, Luda was already extremely weak. She did not live long enough to give birth. Andre closed her eyes. Then he discovered that the baby was still alive. He put a muzzle over Luda's mouth. He wanted to control her after she turned and let her give birth to the child. After the power outage, Andre still had not come back. Anna started to worry. So she asked Norma to take a candle and check on him. Norma walked into the maternity and baby store. Andre was holding a baby girl. Beside him was Luda, who had already turned into a zombie. Norma immediately raised her gun. Andre lost control and fired. Norma was hit. Then she fired back. Andre and Norma fell almost at the same time. Everyone heard the gunshots and rushed over. They found the baby in the swaddle. Anna opened it. The baby was already showing signs of turning too. The mall had been quiet for a while. Now even that brief peace was gone. After praying for the dead, everyone understood one thing. The mall could not hold forever. It could block the zombies. But it could not stop food from running out. It could not stop ammunition from running out. And it could not stop time. If they kept waiting, they were only waiting to die. Michael proposed modifying the 2 buses in the basement. Steve said there was a luxury yacht at the dock. Anna thought the island in the lake might be safer than the mall. The escape plan finally took shape. They would reinforce the vehicles first. Then they would drive to the gun store, pick up Andy, and stock up on ammunition. After that, they would push through the zombie horde, reach the dock, board Steve's yacht, and head for the island. Everyone agreed. Even CJ decided to join. So the mall turned into a workshop. They modified the buses, counted weapons, and prepared for one last push out. Michael designed a chainsaw that could extend out through the gaps in the vehicle body. It could clear zombies that got too close to the bus. Based on their progress, the buses would need at least 5 more days to be ready. Ken held up a sign and told Andy they would save him in 5 days. But Andy could not wait that long. His food was almost gone. If they really dragged it out for 5 days, he might not even have the strength to leave the gun store. The outside of the mall was full of zombies. No one could deliver supplies directly. Then Ken noticed something. Nicole's small dog was not attacked by zombies. So they packed food and a walkie-talkie into the dog's backpack. Then they lowered it to the ground with a rope. At first, the plan worked. The dog slipped into the gun store. The walkie-talkie reached Andy. But before Andy could close it, zombies forced their way into the store. He told everyone he had been bitten. Even worse, Nicole was worried about the dog. She secretly drove the truck toward the gun store. She found the dog. But soon, she discovered that the store was full of blood. From the roof, Ken saw that Andy had died and turned into a zombie. Even stranger, zombie Andy was still holding a sign. Only bloodstains were left on the sign. Nicole could only hide inside a cabinet and call for help. The escape plan had to move up. They had to save Nicole first. At the same time, they had to stock up on ammunition. Before leaving, Steve did not want to risk himself to save Nicole. He asked to switch places with Tucker. Tucker had originally been assigned to guard the door. Steve wanted to stay behind and guard it himself. Michael did not fully trust Steve. But Michael still agreed. Michael, Ken, CJ, and the others moved through the sewer with guns and entered the gun store. They grabbed ammunition. They found Nicole and the dog. They killed Andy after he had turned. Then they loaded weapons, medicine, and bullets as fast as they could. During the retreat, CJ used fire to clear the exit. Tucker tried to cover him. But a zombie bit Tucker and dragged him down into the sewer. There was no way back for Tucker. CJ had to shoot Tucker himself. The group rushed back to the mall basement. But Steve was gone. Even worse, he had locked the basement door behind him. Anna reached the door from the mall side and opened it just in time. The zombie horde had already chased them from behind. Everyone ran all the way and finally rushed into the elevator. For the moment, they escaped danger. Then they took the elevator out of the basement and headed straight for the modified buses. Steve only appeared then. CJ held back his anger. He only told Steve to hand over the gun. Once everything was ready, the two modified buses drove straight into the zombie horde. The zombies came like waves. They slammed into the vehicles again and again. The chainsaw Michael had designed came in handy. CJ also lit a gas tank and threw it into the horde. The explosion temporarily cleared the road. The vehicles kept pushing forward. But during a sharp turn, the rear bus lost control. Anna noticed the rear bus had not followed. She immediately told the others to stop and help. Steve woke up first. Ken and the others called for help. But Steve ignored them. He picked up a gun and ran away alone. Not long after he ran out, zombies tackled him. CJ and Anna only had time to pull out Ken, Terry, and Nicole. The rest of the people trapped in the rear bus did not make it out. During the retreat, they ran into zombie Steve. Anna risked herself to search his body. She found the yacht key. After that, everyone got back on the bus and drove toward the dock. On the way to the dock, Michael stayed unusually silent. The bus smashed through the locked gate and rushed into the dock. Everyone jumped out and ran for the yacht. The zombie horde had already caught up behind them. CJ stayed back to cover the others. The zombies pressed closer and closer. CJ raised his gun and ignited the dynamite. The blast bought the others enough time to board. One by one, the survivors got onto the boat. But Michael stopped at the dock. Michael had been bitten during the chaos on the way to the dock. Anna wanted to take him with them. Michael refused. He told her to stay on the boat and take the others away. The yacht slowly pulled farther from the dock. Michael stayed behind alone. As the boat moved away, the dock disappeared from view. But the dock was not the end. On the boat, the group found the DV camcorder Steve had left behind. In the footage, the food was already spoiled. The water was gone. The fuel tank was almost empty. They finally reached the island. But the moment they arrived, another horde of zombies rushed toward them. The footage cut off in chaos. They had escaped the mall. They had crossed the water. But they had still never reached safety.